What's up, everybody? Welcome to Jump Off a Dock. I'm DJ. That's Alex. And this week we watched Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, the legendary author and chef and raconteur who passed away a few years ago by his own hand. Suicide. Great documentary. I'm going to start with this, Alex. How much of a badass was Anthony Bourdain? Was he not the coolest?
Well, first of all, do you know the exact definition of a raconteur?
I do not know.
I knew
Did I
it.
use it improperly?
I knew it. You just thought it sounded like somebody who's a man about town and a what is he? I don't know. I don't know exactly what it means.
Badass. I think when I think raconteur, I think badass.
Really?
Are you looking it up? Because if you were quibbling?
Quibbling.
I was confusing qualm and quibbling. If you were quabbling with my use of raconteur, you can't look it up after. You better actually know if you're going to come at me.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Because it's like saying, I don't think that means what you think it means. See, he said that.
But if you don't know what it means, what does it matter?
Here's the difference. I didn't use it. I didn't use it with confidence.
I was right.
No.
I knew it.
No.
He's a person who tells anecdotes in a skillful and amusing way.
That's not what you said.
Anthony Bourdain.
That's not what you said. You said
I did. I said raconteur.
No, but
no. You asked me after what I thought it meant. I said I don't know, but that doesn't mean I didn't use it correctly, and I did. So he was a raconteur.
But you defined it incorrectly.
What a raconteur Anthony Bourdain was.
You like the sound of words better than their meanings. All right.
Listen, I feel words when I say them, and I felt correct.
Yeah, and I felt that you were wrong. So I
how much of a badass? And you were wrong about feeling wrong. So you need to check engine light.
Now I'm just confused. I think that the whole badass thing is a thing that I don't always connect with. The idea of like a badass is necessarily like he's cool, he's good. He's almost exactly too cool. I don't know. I feel like you know what's funny is that I think he's great. I think he's good at what he does. But I never really like watched his shows that much. I never really fully connected with him because I feel like he's so clearly like punk rock. Like he looks like he's Lou Reed as a chef. He's so to me he's yet another punk rock skinny well coiffed Jew. He looks like Lou Reed. He looks like Leonard Cohen or whatever. He reminds me of those types.
He does look like Leonard Cohen.
He's got that type.
He looks like Leonard Cohen and Ron Perlman smashed together.
Well, that's quite a smash because Ron already looks like he's been smashed with a couple of things. But he's got that vibe. It's a cool vibe. But it's not my kind. Like it's not. I'm not a punk rock kind of guy. I'm more funk than punk, and so.
But he's. Sorry, go ahead.
I think he's cool, but I don't like get excited. Like his energy is cool, and I find when I watch the things that are very cool, I don't get excited about them. I kind of like go, oh, that's really cool. You know, sometimes certain music I find cool and it's good, but I can see that he wasn't a natural host in the beginning. I can understand why, because he doesn't strike me as that.
But that's what you want. You don't want a Ryan Seacrest type. Here's the thing. You haven't seen it, and I didn't watch it much either. Madge loves it, so I've watched a couple episodes, and I read Kitchen Confidential this week because
you read the whole. You read the thing. How long is it?
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's a good sized book, a few hundred pages, but he's a raconteur. It's an amazing read.
You're a quick read.
I'm going to use that word 5 more times.
Are you a fast reader?
I'm a pretty quick reader, yeah. But the thing is, he is like punk rock, but he's curious. He's not trying to be cool.
Yeah, I know.
He cares about people's stories, and like that's what makes the show so great.
No, he's good
why
at that.
Madge loves it. He's going.
Yes, I just don't get excited about his
host.
energy. That's all. I think that's what I say. I didn't say he's bad. I say he's great at what he does. I just never was drawn to it.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I was drawn to it, but for some reason never watched the show. But I think it's because I was never into like cooking or food or anything. I didn't realize how much it went
for me too.
Beyond that.
For me, or even travel shows. I find I don't like watching people travel. I like to travel when I get a chance. I'm not a big traveler. I kind of like him. I started traveling late, but I don't know. I'm not drawn to like watching someone experience something. I want to experience it.
I'm different there. even just watching this, because what it does is it excites that part of my brain that likes traveling and makes me go, oh, damn, yeah, I got to get back out there, especially after all this COVID stuff of the last couple of years. Like watching him just, jet set around the planet, eat all these amazing foods, meet all these amazing people from different cultures. It just reminded me of how important travel is to enrich yourself and not get stuck in your own little world.
Traveling's great.
Myopic world.
Traveling's great. It reminds me of like how comfortable my bed at home is. It's so good at reminding me how.
No, it's true though. But him and Josh Homme, the lead singer
line,
of Queens of the Stone Age, had that great conversation. Where I can't remember the exact line, but you appreciate home when you're away, and then as soon as you leave and you want to come home, and when you come home you want to leave.
Yeah.
And I empathize with, but that's why traveling's so great, because it makes you appreciate home as well.
It does. That is true. But what I will say is that when I watched him write, when he said that he got up and the first thing he did was he had a smoke and he went straight to the desk, that he romanticized the writing to the point where he was like, I should write like a writer. I should do that. Do what he does. That's what every morning I should.
Me too.
I should start smoking, and I should start writing early.
I had the exact same thought because I've been telling myself I was going to write for fucking 15 years now, and I was like, maybe I just need to like clear out a spot. And this did actually make me want to smoke too. It's crazy how bad smoking is for you, but when you watch somebody smoke sometimes, you're like, maybe it would be beneficial. And of course there's no benefit to it at all, but you're like, maybe it would help me in some intangible way.
The nicotine does get your synapses firing better, but you can put on a patch if you prefer. You can.
Exactly. Oh, you quitting smoking? Oh, never touch the stuff. This is my creative.
Smoking is a nasty habit. It's a terrible, terrible habit. That was me, for anyone listening, that was me miming peeling a adhesive patch off and putting it onto the side of my arm. Thank you.
And for our blind viewers as well. I used to work for a TV channel where it was our main viewership was blind people, so I had to describe everything I did.
Descriptive video.
In the way you just did. Descriptive video, exactly. By the way, the fact that you just said miming, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of my favorite scenes in this movie was how much he hated that mime in France.
I know.
He's like, you ruined my day when that mime comes.
I know. But it's obvious. See, that's the thing, is it's obvious for a cool guy to hate a mime. Surprise me, like the mime. You know what I was wondering, in terms of like how cool he is, whatever he looks like and all that. By the way, I wore a black T-shirt just to kind of like, I like to thematically connect with the episodes. And he is slim and trim. Like these punk rockers, like these Iggy Poppers and these Lou Reeds, they always have this zero body fat scenario situation. What is happening there? Is that drugs? It's not drugs, right?
It's the heroin. He was a hardcore heroin
but what do you get? If that's the case, I'll be a heroin addict for a year and then benefit for the rest of my life.
It is insane though. Like Anthony Kiedis as well, Iggy Pop, Anthony Bourdain, all these former heroin addicts always have a body you would kill for. Yeah. He was 60 years old, rocking a six-pack.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was a handsome man. He had an aura about him that he was handsome, man. He was like, he had that Leonard Cohen kind of thing. He really,
which I wouldn't do. I wouldn't describe Leonard Cohen as necessarily a handsome man.
But he was, because he was Leonard Cohen. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't necessarily like storybook handsome, but like I could get lost in Leonard Cohen's eyes because he was a raconteur as well. I actually just stopped reading Leonard Cohen's book to read Anthony Bourdain's book, so these worlds are colliding heavily right now.
That's crazy. Which Leonard Cohen book are we talking about?
Beautiful Loser. He has two books. The other one I liked a lot more. This one was like, just like watching a man descend into madness, which is a fun exercise, but about 150 pages in, I'm like, okay, I get it. He's fully descended into madness. I got to get out of here. I got to read about some beautiful dishes that Anthony Bourdain was making.
Wow. By the way, I have to, because we're on the topic of, I have to mention that there was a line that Anthony Bourdain said something about like that he could never escape from the best job in the world. The fact that he was doing this and it was a great, traveling 250 days of the year was exhausting, but also exhilarating, and the fact that it was something that he'd wanted to do. It reminded me of a quote by Leonard Cohen, which is, and I think because he was saying that as he's getting older, he was tired of this, and yet he couldn't escape it. Is this line about aging from Leonard Cohen that I ache in the places I used to play.
Oh, damn, that's good.
Felt like, yeah, I love it because it works physically and mentally, that line.
Mm-hmm.
Because goddamn, my knees and
Yeah.
my low energies, my mental energy. Anyway, so it was, so I could feel for his situation. It was like, he's already done everything. Now what? But that's not to say that, you can't maintain a certain curiosity about other aspects of life.
Well, I think that's why his conversation with Iggy Pop was so instructive, Anthony Bourdain's conversation, because, Iggy Pop was a legendary party animal, one of the iconic punk rockers from the 60s and 70s, and he doesn't seem to be partying anymore. I'm pretty sure he's been clean for decades. And then Anthony Bourdain asked him, what thrills you now? And Iggy Pop said, just appreciating the love that I get from people, like taking in the love from them and really appreciating who loves me in my life. And you could see Anthony Bourdain kind of being like, oh, like, because I don't think he was fully capable of that. Like, even after he passed away, somebody in the documentary said so many people loved him, but I don't think he quite believed it.
Right.
So I think that one of the things I took away from that, because I used to kind of idolize that rock star lifestyle, like, especially getting into comedy. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be drinking, chicks, smoking pot, like not heroin necessarily, but I love that rock star lifestyle. And then the more you get to know these people, the Hunter S. Thompsons and the Ernest Hemingways and the Anthony Bourdains, like, I think the brain is a fragile thing, and you can't party that hard for too long. I mean, I know Bourdain wasn't partying that hard near the end. It looked like he was just drinking alcohol maybe, but I think that there's a psychological toll to be paid, and I think you have to start pretty early on appreciating things like Iggy Pop said, or else that darkness can descend pretty quickly, I think.
That's a good lesson that you took away from that. It's don't party too hard, DJ. We're looking out for you, and we're worried about you. But it seems that anybody who sort of was an addict at some point, they are susceptible to like the darkness seeping in later in their life. That's sort of the scary bit too. Because I mean, I'm not going to get into the reasons for the person takes their own life. I mean, this is what the hell am I to say?
I hate that he didn't leave a note, because he was such a raconteur.
Oh, God help us all.
Such a great writer and storyteller, and if he really was feeling something, but he did say at the very beginning of this documentary that he just wanted to just go. Like, if he died, he would. So I think that's why he didn't leave a note.
I don't know if I think that when you're at that point, you're not really thinking. Maybe he knew better than he realized that there was no real justification as to. Maybe it's a feeling so deep inside. There's no real reason trying to articulate it. I don't know. I mean, people seem pissed that he didn't leave a note. Such a great writer. Why wouldn't you leave a note during your darkest hour? Come on.
Selfish. The suicide I can handle, but you're not even going to tell me why.
Yeah. You're not going to just leave me with one more little bit of your beautiful writing? I don't know if I buy into that.
I don't know, man. Anytime somebody that beloved kills themselves, I think the general public just has a hard time understanding that they had demons, because they're like, but they seemed so happy on TV.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he even said, like, people on TV shows, cooks and writers, they all have difficulty giving and getting love. Remember him saying that about being on TV, so to speak. So there's that too.
Yeah.
Just to lighten it up for a second, I didn't realize, I looked it up, that they showed a clip of Kitchen Confidential, Bourdain as played by Bradley Cooper. That was a sitcom, a one-season sitcom.
Wow. Yeah, imagine I were like, what was that from? We had no idea.
And so I ask you, who do you think you would play? Who would play you, in a sitcom, do you think, if it wasn't you?
Oh, man. I have no idea, man, because they'd have to be, I'm assuming I live another 30 years and they're playing me at this point, so somebody I can't even think of. And I don't know any famous people with hearing aids. We're slapping fake hearing aids on.
I guess you can't do. I guess you can't slap fake hearing aids on. It would have to be somebody who's
No, I think they could. I think they'd be more inclined to do that, but I wouldn't want that ableist Hollywood bullshit to continue. I want a deaf person playing me.
Okay,
deafer than me.
Could be an Uggo though. If you're narrowing it down, have to be an Uggo.
Who's playing you?
Me? Obviously it's got to be.
I have an idea.
I used to be, back when I had the curly hair going on, I looked a little like John Turturro.
That's who I was thinking, from Barton Fink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
But now I don't know who the hell.
Now I'd say The Rock.
Yeah, probably The Rock. Like he'd have to like go method and like lose a lot of like weight, and I mean muscle.
Yeah.
He'd have to get like mono for like 3 years, and then he probably could play me.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the one that finally gets him the Oscar. His Dallas Buyers Club.
I just imagine this scene right now, the podcast.
He hated vegetarians?
Did he?
Yeah, like when you read Kitchen Confidential, and you got to read it, man, and your mouth will water the whole time. But he just hated vegetarians. He's like, if you don't like meat, if you don't eat meat, I don't even know what to tell you. Get the fuck out of here. He hated them because he was so passionate about food that he just thought the fact that you couldn't. Yeah, so it was just funny reading this. I'm like, he hates me.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine he cared that much about it, considering when you see him spear a pig and then kill a chicken, and he almost had like his teeth were gritted almost during these situations. Oh, by the way, yeah, and also he ate a live cobra heart. Would you eat a live cobra heart?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I like to believe I would. I mean, as long as the people
I love that as a follow-up. I definitely would. I mean, I like to believe that I definitely would.
I would just need to hear assurances from the people who live there who actually eat it that it wasn't going to kill me. But in terms of being grossed out by it or anything, I would overcome that. I would just need to know it's not going to kill me.
I would need it blessed by a rabbi. I don't care. I don't keep kosher. One of the things, the controversies around this that we might as well talk about is the use of AI for his voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that because there's this belief that, like, so the director, I heard of the director on like a DGA interview where he said that for Bourdain, it was always about pushing the boundaries. So he felt like doing this and using AI to recreate his voice, saying things that he never said, was pushing the boundaries so Bourdain would be okay with it. Like this idea of like saying, yeah, he'd be fine with that, kind of have a sense. They also like, he got the go-ahead from, he wouldn't give a shit from, like, I guess his people, like his, I think his agent for 20 years, his like business wife, as they called it. Do you think so? Do you think that he would care? Is that punk rock? The way that he thought, the director thought it was punk rock?
Well, it was still his words, so they would like use the AI voice for an email that he sent or something. Yeah. So. They weren't putting words in his mouth; they were just putting his mouth in his words.
It was for that, and it was also for a Vietnam quote, and also when he was talking about the tattoo reflecting celebrity. I noted those were 3 moments. I actually was going to go back and listen to them. I haven't yet, but yeah.
Are those the only 3 moments?
Apparently, there was like a combination of 45 seconds.
They had quotes from his book too, Kitchen Confidential, and I was wondering if he ever said them out loud or if they used it for that too. I have no problem with it. Like, Madge loves Anthony Bourdain. Like, she watched all his shows and everything. So when we were watching it last night, the thing she brought up that I think is really important is she thinks that he would have really liked this documentary.
Okay.
And that's really important because a lot of documentaries, you feel kind of icky when you watch it because you're like, it didn't feel like something they would have liked. It might have showed stuff from their life. Like, it wasn't untruthful or anything, but it didn't feel like them. And I think this one felt like him, like even David Cho bringing up the honest truth that Bourdain told him he was going to be a bad dad. Like, it was David Chang that said that. I know it's sometimes you get Cho was
Changs,
his other friend. Confusing my Chos and my Changs. But yeah, it was real. Like, it was tender. It was filled with love, but it was real. So I don't mind if they use AI a few times.
The only thing is one thing I will say is whether or not he would appreciate this, because he enjoyed things that were also very genuine. And that is the end, in which I would like to dedicate this segment I smell the feces of a male bovine. And that is, when I was watching this, I was thinking at the end, oh, David Cho decided that he would really appreciate there's these murals all around town. He'd like to just have them defaced, really punk rock, to just deface one of the murals. And when he started doing that, I thought, okay, well, whose mural is that? Right? He's gonna get away with it on film. And then I also thought that mural looks a little generic. There's nothing particularly. It looks like it was kind of thrown together. Well, sure enough, did the research. It was commissioned for the film, and it was done by an artist for the purpose of defacing by David Cho. So would Bourdain appreciate the fact, and that was sold as though they really did it, and it's a great hurrah at the end of the movie for punk rock, Bourdain, Cho. What do you think?
Well, I definitely applaud your research to find out that male bovine feces, because I didn't even think about that, and that is kind of bullshit. But then you think about the scene in the later seasons of No Reservations when he had Asia Argento directing, and the guy was in the middle of telling him, the refugee in the Hong Kong episode was like, I don't believe in hope. And then he cuts him off because they're like, oh, we have to reset. So because of the artifice of television, they weren't adhering to maybe the earlier philosophy of making it real and raw. So he understood that television is a bit fake. In that moment, I didn't see him protesting too much.
Understood, but also maybe put some of his philosophies to the side because, he wanted to be agreeable to the woman that he currently loved. That was the concern people had. Again, none of my business. I don't know what the hell happened. I just know what I know and what I saw, and it didn't look right to me. And my sniffing abilities came through in the end.
No, yeah, you're right. And I just want to say that scene with them making that guy start over when he was in the middle of that heartfelt thought. I only know Bourdain from what I've seen on TV and everything, and what I'm reading in this book or what I read in that book. But it seemed like so out of character to the point where you're like, man, was he really not the same guy in the last couple years of his life? Like, I feel like he wouldn't have allowed that 10 years earlier.
Yeah, I agree. It seemed strangely. He seemed like he wasn't fully present. He seemed like he was also kind of just maybe under the spell a little bit. He was just behaving himself to some extent just to get the TV done, make some TV. But I do. I just don't like it when something's being sold. I mean, I think that's part of the problem with the AI is it's being sold as it is him. There was never a moment where like they let you know that that's what they did. So there's a feeling of, in some ways, of some duplicity in that. So I don't like that feeling.
It's a slippery slope.
I don't like it.
It's a slippery slope because if you don't tell me, then because it's not a true documentary anymore when you're slipping in artifice.
Some people have no problem.
Construction.
I've listened to other documentarians. They were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess if it's true to what you think that person would have wanted, I guess maybe that's the ending litmus test. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, I'm gonna kind of bring it back to a dark place again because he committed suicide. But you didn't necessarily resonate with his badass nature and who he was. I am just getting into him now. Like, we're going to watch all the Parts Unknowns and A Cook's Tour and No Reservations. And because, like, I want to know everything about him now. Because Kitchen Confidential is so good. And him describing the New York culinary scene in the 70s.
I read the article, one article where he gives up little tips as to when to order fish and all that. There was an article in New York Times. I read that. I read that a while ago, and so I know that part. Was it a bit like that?
That ends up being a chapter. Yeah, but it's so well written, and he just Anyway, I really I'm falling in love with him, which is kind of something that happens for me. I fall in love with people after they're dead and gone because I hear. I look forward to that. Damn, I didn't know. I already love you, Alex. It can only grow from here.
Well, I'm mostly dead inside, so it works.
Let me ask you this. It's like, I don't know how to say it without it seeming kind of judgy, so I'm going to say it. When somebody leads this kind of life that's so illustrious and decorated and they've made so many people happy, and then they end it in this way, suicide, what does that do to the legacy before? Like, if all they did was give positive feelings before that, Are those positive feelings tainted now because of the tragic way the life ended, or is it a separate thing?
I guess it depends on how the person takes it.
What's the relationship between the life and the death?
I guess it depends on how the person takes it. I mean, sometimes I can look at somebody and know that something happened later in their life, but I can enjoy what they did in that moment and think and sort of be in their headspace at the time they did that, versus thinking, wow, that must have been, what were they thinking? Was this a precursor to what happened later? I can separate the two. I can separate a lot of things. I mean, I compartmentalize emotionally most of my life.
I think that's the right way to look at it. I think the same thing. And we're all flawed. And I do wonder if in the last couple years of his life, I always wonder if something actually physically happened to somebody's brain.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's brain chemistry things going on. I think there's a combination of things. You get older and you kind of already done a lot of the different things, so you don't get excited by the same things. And then also, you just don't go. You're not going out and partying with young people like you used to. You do that, and you're the weird old guy that's hanging out at the party. Trust me, I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But I think there's a number of things, but also, yes, there's just things are happening. People chemically, who knows what? I mean, to go to that extent, to take your own life. I mean, that gets to a place where somebody has something going on, whether it's chemical, whatever it is, that would in some way need to be dealt with, and maybe it's difficult to deal with. Maybe it can't be dealt with. Maybe some people work well with certain drugs better than other people. Some people don't want to take drugs. I mean, I'm not in that position, so for me to start to talk about it, I don't know why I'm still talking about this. You're fascinated with this. You don't want to let it go. I just say, seek help, talk to people, try your best. I don't know. I guess different things work for different people. I don't know. Some people, religion works for them fine. They just give themselves up to a higher power, and that's good enough. I don't know what certain, but yeah, it's hard to rationalize when you're down deep in that sort of darkness. I don't think you're rationalize. There's no rationale. Sometimes it's just a feeling. I don't know if you've ever been in a position where you can't help why you're feeling so bad, but you just feel it, and you can't snap out of it. You can't just go, oh, if I listen to some music or if I change my mental attitude. It's like you just feel it. It's as though you took a drug, and you can't change the way that drug is affecting you. I think it's that. So the idea of trying to figure out why somebody would have done something like that, I don't think that makes sense.
It's a fool's errand.
Yes. And here you are, running as many errands as possible. But if that's what you want to do.
All of them equally foolish. No, but that's what the point of the documentary is. That's what I like about it, is a glimpse inside a man's life who I really respect and admire. And then you see that, I mean, there's nuance to everything. There's no black and white. It's all gray. And he knew that, and that's why I loved him. Those are all my favorite artists and authors and personalities, the people who recognize that life is full of that. So his death reflected that too. And
it's interesting that
I don't pass any judgment because of that.
It's interesting that you're so kind of, you're really, I don't want to say you're obsessed with it, but you really want to attack this topic, given that you tend to also project a positive, sunny attitude.
But that's my choice to project. I mean, he was the same way. He was positive to everybody he met. It doesn't mean you don't recognize darkness or feel darkness.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But sometimes I feel like maybe you don't show. Sometimes the positivity can be can mask over that I don't see sometimes all the truth of DJ.
I'm not suicidal, and I don't suffer from depression, thankfully. So that's me being honest. But I've been down, so I'm human. It's not. I don't think I use it as a masking agent.
There was okay. Well, that's good, because I want to hear more of your complaints. I thrive on complaining and the complaints of others.
All right. Well, that was good. We did explore some darkness there, but that's the real shit, and I like it. Anthony Bourdain lived a very full life, lots of adventures, so it was cool to take a little peek into that.
Yes. It was pretty all right.
Next week.
Yeah, next week.
You don't speak ill of the dead like that.
I wasn't speaking ill. I thought he was the illest. Okay.
Next week, we're watching The Last Forest, which is about an indigenous tribe in Brazil and Venezuela trying to hang on to their way of life.
Yeah, in the face of
it's another upbeat
Brazilian,
movie.
yes. Another upbeat one. We'll enjoy it.
Okay, well, that's next week, The Last Forest. Thank you for watching this with us this week, and we'll see you next week.
We will.
I think I said week 3 times in the last sentence.
You just showed a lot of weakness.
I'm DJ.
I'm Alex.
See you later,
Bye.
guys. That was Raconteur, Alex Nussbaum.
Gross.